Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Access 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview, and I'm here with Connor Meanwell. Connor, how are we?
I'm alright, mate, thank you.
It is a privilege to have you on, mate, thank you very much. And so am I right in saying you're a welterweight who's 1-0?
Yes. Just recently I had my pro debut on the 16th of December.
That's good.
Last year, it was good,
Great, okay, well, if you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, I'm going to start off with the question which I always like to ask. Why did you start boxing?
I started off kickboxing to begin with when I was 8 years old. My dad took me and my brother down to no particular reason. He just thought it'd be good for the boys to take us down. So I started kickboxing when I was 8 years old, and I did kickboxing for a number of years. I had quite a few competitions, bouts, and then I transitioned into boxing in my late teens. And then obviously I've gone from there. The thing is, when I did kickboxing, I enjoyed it a lot. I had a good record. It was just, it's like I used to do K1 kickboxing, and in K1, you're allowed leg kicks and stuff like that, and my legs would get destroyed, honestly, because in K1 rule you can actually box the entire fight without even throwing a single kick if you don't, because they score you based on like aggression and stuff like that. And I was always better with my hands anyway. Like I could kickbox anyway, as it was, because obviously that was my background. And but I was just a lot more better with my hands, and the guys would pick up on this in the second, third round, and then start destroying your legs, because that's the best way to neutralise someone who's good with their hands. And then obviously as soon as I transitioned into boxing, I went into the amateur game, and I had quite a long amateur career. I was meant to go pro in 2020, but obviously coronavirus. And obviously made my pro debut last year.
Definitely. And so, do you remember what happened in your first boxing amateur fight? Yeah.
I remember that. It was at 75 kg, and I'm 5'8", and like in kickboxing in K1, when I used to compete then, I used to compete around about 72 kg, but it was mainly at like 68 kg, like you know what I mean. But then when I made the transition over to boxing, amateur boxing, I was like nowhere near my weight, what I should be, and obviously a fight come up, and it was like, look, it's 75 kg, it's your first one. This guy, he's, I think he's only had a few, so it was on par really. Do you want to take it? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So 75 kg, that was at Langwith, I believe. And I won that unanimous. I'm still in touch with the guy to this day, to be honest. He's a good lad.
That's great, that's good to hear. And so is that kind of mindset of like willing to take tough fights always been with you throughout your whole career? Oh yeah,
definitely. That's probably one thing. There's been, like, obviously I know in the amateurs and stuff like that, and even back in the kickboxing and stuff like that, there's been times where I took fights that I shouldn't have took, because weight wise, but that's been my mindset, and and that's where like my own nickname comes from, like Pitbull. Just a dog. Once you set the dog loose, regardless what it is, it's out there. You know what I mean?
That's great. And so you said that you were kind of around the boxing amateur scene for a while, and so what was your biggest achievement from the amateurs?
My biggest achievement was probably, towards the end of my amateur, because I had a really good start to the amateurs, and then a bit of a layoff, and then obviously coronavirus, and then I went through like a losing streak, and I was getting, you have a bit of a frustrating like time, and I'm thinking, I'm putting in this work, I'm doing everything that, being asked for me, I'm dedicated, I'm in the gym, I'm always training, and I think, where's the results, sort of thing. And then obviously like a switch just flicked, and I got an opportunity to box for the regional title, challenger belt title, which was the East Midlands super welterweight title at the time, and I boxed for that, against a kid who beat me in the nationals, and he's a great. I'm still in touch with him as well. He's, he's a sound lad and that. But I thought I beat him in the nationals. Of course, you're going to be a bit biased, you know what I mean. But I generally thought I beat him because I lost to him on a split, and I thought, no way, I lost that. No way. And then obviously when it was announced that I'll be fighting him for the belt, I was like, nah, I can't. I've got to, redeem myself here. So I fought him on this home show, and I beat him in a split as well, split decision. So both close fights, but yeah, I say that was probably the highlight because I was coming off like a 3 losing streak at that point or something like that. So I needed something to boost me. So it was like all or nothing sort of thing.
That's great. That's good to hear. And so you said that, well, you kind of touched on this a little bit about the fact of you not turning pro a little bit earlier because of COVID, but why did you end up turning professional when you did do?
It's a number of reasons to be like. So I had my last amateur, obviously we're in 2023 now, so I had my last amateur career, season last year. That was finished in May. I went for my last bout was against Shay from Grimsby, I believe, or something like that, I forgot. But that was to box for a title at 75 kg, which I shouldn't be boxing at. But I tried to go for the double on that one, and then at that moment, I said to myself, because I had a lot of bouts the last season, because I just said, look, I don't care who they are, what the records is, throw me in there, because obviously the whole point of the amateurs is to gain your experience. If you ever do go pro, it's to gain your experience. It's not really, no one's really, obviously you don't want to lose, but no one's really bothered if, win, lose. But it's about giving that experience. It's your schooling, ready for the pros, your do's and your don'ts. So at the time, I had a lot of bouts and, some personal things as well within my own family and that. And I had my last amateur bout in May, and then I decided to take a good 2 or 3 months off completely, and then I went to Carl Greaves. I was sparring with some of his lads, and then obviously sparring with some of the pros and that, and you just got the bug and that, at that point. But I knew I was done with the amateurs anyway. That was my last season. I said that was going to be my last season. So I was like, right, the next step is for the pros. And like I said, I had some personal things. So the best thing to keep my mind, whole thing and occupied was focus on boxing. And that's why I decided to turn pro.
Definitely, that's good to hear. And so, kind of keeping on the thing of like the mindset and stuff like that, what would you say is motivating you at the moment?
I think at the moment, to me, obviously not to get too much into depth, but I've been doing this for years. Everyone, especially in my town, the local town, everyone knows what I do. When I go around, half the conversation most of the time is about boxing when I come and talk to you, which is nice, and you get the recognition and stuff like that. And it's half expected of me to continue this boxing as it is. And because I've just turned professional, had a great, won my pro debut, and now obviously I've got a big fight coming up soon. But I think the motivation is I've got a lot of people personally to prove wrong, and basically, a big ha-ha sort of thing to certain individuals, And it's basically to improve my own life as it is, and the best way to improve my own life is do what I'm good at, and this is this.
Definitely,
and that's what's motivating me.
That's good to hear, and it seems like you've definitely passionate about the sport.
Oh no, definitely, because at the moment, look, everything I've gained so far is because of the sport. The recognition I get is because of the sport. The compliments, the people that's proud of me and stuff like that. It's because of the sport, not the fact that because I win, but it's because you know, they see that I'm doing something good. I'm keeping myself busy, occupied, healthy, and you know, as you know, and everyone else know, boxing, you know, it's a good way of life at the end of the day. So yeah, very passionate.
Definitely, that's good to hear. And so, you touched on the fact of your pro debut, and of course you won that. And so, how well do you think you performed in that fight?
I've looked at the fight back, and to be fair, I don't think I performed that well. Because, but then again, look, so I was my original opponent was basically, you know, was a journeyman, and obviously, people that knows what journeymans are, you know, they're the backbone of the sport anyway. He got stopped a week before our scheduled fight. So it was a case of like, okay, so we've got to find someone quickly. We found another lad, Joe Hardy, who basically wasn't a journeyman, but you know he's got a couple of losses on his record, but he comes to win. Like he don't play like the journeyman role. You know what I mean? He comes for a tear up. He comes for, you know, a bit of a fight. He wants to cause a bit of an upset. You know, he like I say, he don't play the journeyman role. So it was and it was at super welterweight, so I believe it was at like 72 kg. So you know, I'm a welterweight fighter, which is 67 kg. So it's at another weight. But then again, I'm used to that. You see, so I was like, right, okay, it's not what you really want for a debut, but so like, let's give it. Same mentality, same mindset I've always had. So like, let's give it. So it was a bit of a little fight within the ring, but I kept nice and composed. I was cut early, first round. It was just a clash of heads, obviously by accident, and then I was pouring out with blood. And then I think, because when I watched the fight back, I think that kind of like kicked into me like, oh, don't stop the fight. Because it was constant everywhere, the blood was, and I thought, so a bit of urgency came off me then. So a bit, you know, I was, you know, trying to put a bit more sting on the shots and stuff like that. But I think I could have, you know, if we go again, I think I box a lot nicely. You know what I mean. Instead of like, not that I messed up a couple of my work, but you know, I could have, you know, neated it up like here and there during it. But apart from that, it was a good fight. You know what I mean? It was a good fight.
Definitely. And so I suppose with the thing of, you said you've been waiting kind of a while to turn pro with COVID and some other family issues. So when that fight was in doubt of it even happening because of the rearrangement of the opponent, were you just super determined to make that fight happen, whoever it was against, just because of how long you had to wait?
Honestly, I wouldn't have cared who it was against, and obviously the same mindset. Like, look, obviously I know, you know, hypothetically we're speaking, but you throw a world champion in there. I know obviously that would never happen, but the same mindset, no, I'm in my own town, I'm not losing. You know what I mean? Like that's the mindset I had. I was like, I don't care, you know, whoever it is, get him, like sort of thing. But you know, I persevered, come through with the win on the fight, won it, and you know, it's, you know, those sort of fights, like you don't want to be with those sort of guys as well. You don't want to be facing until you're 5-6 fights in. You know, if you're building yourself up, you can be smart about it. Obviously, I understand. Obviously, with me selling tickets and obviously facing a couple of journeymen, getting those rounds in, those experience in, because the pace is a lot different from the amateurs and so on and so on. And like in general, the experience is different. But you know, I'm glad like a fight like that is I had on the first one at the weight. So, but then again, I've always been a bit used to it anyway. So,
yeah, definitely, that's good to hear. And so now you are going into a tough test, I believe 18th of February, if I'm right in saying. And so, how's preparations been going for that?
Oh, literally, like it was like 2 days after my fight, and I get, you know, a message off my manager. It was like, look, there's this like tournament, you know, eight-man tournament on the 18th of February in Birmingham, I believe, or something like that. Are you interested? First, I didn't even ask him any questions. I was just sending him a voice note saying, "Let's go, let's do it," like sort of thing. And yeah, so I know I got that literally because it was Christmas the week after my pro debut. I enjoyed like the bit of the food, but I still, you know, did a bit of runs here and there just to make sure I tipped myself over. Not too much because I had a long camp on my pro debut anyway. And but yeah, the train, you know, preparation. We all got a training plan obviously set. Obviously just gone back to the boxing gym yesterday. Because that's obviously opened back up, but obviously in the meantime, leading up to that, you know, I've been doing my own little, you know, runs, sprints and stuff like that at the gym, strength and conditioning and so on and so on. But obviously sparring will probably start this week or maybe early next week. And the same with the sparring, I'll probably spar because they're 3 rounds, so they're 3 frees. I'll probably start, you know, sparring with 9 rounds in total, 3 rounds new person. So, but obviously probably spar 3 rounds with 1 person, have a round out, spar another 3 rounds with another person, and so on and so on. So that will probably start coming in soon. So, you know, I'm confident in my training. Is, you know, the training, I always put 110% in training. It's just when it comes to the night, you know, if I keep my same mindset and the way I am and that fighter in me, that dog in me, then, you know, I'm very confident in myself to pull it off.
Definitely. And so you are on a top boxing card, and so what's it like working with them?
Well, I've just obviously started working with him. I believe the owner is Tommy Owen. Obviously he's been sharing and promoting the show. And obviously he's been doing all the lineup with the lads and the other lads and stuff like that. I haven't met him face to face. I've not really spoke to him. He's obviously just sent over a couple of the posters and stuff like that. So I'm sure I'll probably meet him sooner or later anyway. Because I want to get some tickets in so I can get some, you know, some of my own crowd over and stuff like that. So I'm you know, by the looks of things, they're very, you know, professional, obviously. So looking forward to it.
Definitely, that's great. And so, I mean, if you manage to win this tournament, you'll be put in a 4-0 position, and so that at that point it probably won't be too far away from when you're maybe fighting for belts. And so I was wondering, how far do you believe you can go?
So when I do win this competition, literally I've just turned pro. I had my pro debut December. Win this competition, I'll be 4-0, and now I'm already scheduled out for the 25th of March back in Newark. So, like I said, I said, like, I need to get the ball going. Give me the fights, and I you know, that's what I do. Like, I'm here to sell tickets, and I'm here to put on a show, but win as well. You know what I mean? So obviously, I'm not thinking, you know, past this tournament. Obviously, I've got to get past, you know, you got to have 3 fights in one night. Obviously, considering that you win those fights. So I'm not even thinking past the first guy. But obviously, hypothetically, win the tournament, win the one in March, I'm 5-0 already. And that's you know what I mean? That's 4 months of just being pro. And then I'll, you know, probably have a couple more body years out, and then probably look at regional title level next year. You know what I mean? So for the Midlands or something. I signed a 3 years contract with Carl Greaves, and by the end of that 3 years, I want to be, you know, touching the British Championship, the British title, and that's what I want to be touching. You know, I understand. I don't want to go too fast. Anything, whatever opportunity comes my way, obviously I weigh up the opportunities. 9 out of 10 times I'll probably agree to it anyway. But yeah, I won't rush anything. But if it's there, I'm taking it.
Definitely, that's great. And so I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Would you like to shout anything out?
Yeah, I like to shout out my sponsors. I've got Fento Autos. That's a local garage within Newark-on-Trent. Great guys. Obviously, they gave me a lot of support. I also like to shout out Wilder Campus, who was my school teacher, and obviously he's opened up his own business, setting up, old camper vans and, transforming them into camper vans and stuff, with all the gadgets and stuff like that. And Kitcheners as well, which is a German kitchen group. And then shout out to all the lads as well, my stable mates, all them lot who's obviously got big fights coming up this year as well. So, yeah.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you very much again, mate.
No, I appreciate it, mate. Honestly, I thank you for this.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm going to be trying to see if I can get to this upcoming fight you're on in February. And so, if I can be there and I manage to catch you, do you think you'd maybe be up for an interview then?
No, definitely, mate. Definitely, yeah. It'd be a pleasure to see you there anyway. More the merrier. Just come and enjoy the show. Obviously, I know all those lads are there. They'll probably be saying the same thing anyway. I'm sure we'll all be ready for it. I'm sure they're all decent lads anyway, but like I say, it'd be a good show and be some good little fights on there.
Definitely. Great. Okay, well, if you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and